Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over She number 3 from Crusade Comics from 1994. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access number 25. You can get this at Patreon /Alexander Turbin. Just for $3 a month, you get a 12-page, full-size, full-color comic, and with a couple of backup stories by Christopher Knox and Paul Courtjohn. I've just gone back to color. It went black and white for a little while. But you can also get these at alexanderturbin.com, where you can get Random Access and Mutandis and Forlorn and all kinds of other things that I've done in my comic book making career. Or you can just message me at alexturbin0441 at yahoo.com, which is my email, or alexturbin0441 at Instagram. So thanks for checking these out, and let's get on with the show. She number 3. I just recently sold my She number 1. I think I only sold it for $10. I'm not sure what condition it was. You can get these on eBay for $5 or $6 or $7. It's not super hard to find. She has never really been my favorite. I love the look of it, but I find, just like most of the Image comics, because even though Crusade is not an Image comic, and Bill Tucci is not an Image creator, he is very much in the mold of the Image creators. And he did do some Image stuff, and he did the crossovers, and I believe he did do an Image title for Image, a She title for Image. But I'm not a huge fan. He does go in the same sort of style and vein of Image, where he just does a lot of poses and not too much. Doesn't really focus on the narrative art and the story, and he just kind of focuses on the cool poses and cool scenes and stuff like that. I did not read this wall of text. I don't remember if I read this originally a long time ago when I first got it. I must have. I mean, I didn't not read comics when I got them back then. So it's just not very memorable. The story. All right, let's get into the story, and then let's just go through the comic, and then, like I said, I'll go back and talk about the story and the writing and the art and everything. I did not read this. This probably has to do with the first 2 issues and what happened, but that wall of text just drove me crazy. I just didn't want to read it. That unfortunately happened with a lot of this issue. If there's any She fans out there, I'm sorry if I offend you. And if you love She, that's really fantastic for you. All comics are for different people, and or all comics are not for the same people, that is. And, some people like some things and some people like other things, more or less. There is a lot of stuff I do like about this comic, and I'll get into those. So it's basically, you see she's on top of a building, and she's got her bow and arrow out, and she's talking about Miyamoto Musashi, who is the legendary writer of the Book of Five Rings, and he's a samurai of some renown. He's actually one of my heroes, and I've read all of the books. There's like a 4 or 5, I think it's 5 book set, which is huge. There's a bunch of movies. It's just, Miyamoto Musashi is a cultural icon for Japan, and he was really something great. Turns out, like, he won like 25 something like that battles as a Ronin, and just went on, killing sprees, meeting other samurai and killing them. Turns out he's just really a big dude. So that's most of the reason why he got through all of those fights and stuff. He was a big dude amongst smaller guys, and he could just really overpower his opponents. But it wasn't really that which got him his fame and all of that stuff. It was more his poetry and his art and stuff like that, and his writings. So after he did all of those killing of all those 25 guys, then he went on, and he was like almost a Zen monk and stuff. So it wasn't just that he was a great fighter. He had more to offer than just that. So this is from the Book of Five Rings, and it's basically just, talking about who to fight, how to fight, when to fight, how to be a person, stuff like that. during she's doing this on top of a building. I'm not sure who she's going to shoot at this point, but there's like some back. I don't know if it's here. Yeah, one of my problems is this here is from Miyamoto Musashi, I believe, and this is text from what's going on elsewhere. Why isn't this different? Oh, all right. No, no, yeah. This is part of this. These should have been word balloons, and this is no. I'm confused. This is somebody talking about Musashi's teachings and stuff, and it does go with this, but this turns into this. So it's a little confusing. I was confused. I didn't really know what was going on, but I figured it out. So it's this guy talking and this guy talking. It's a Japanese crime lord, apparently. I read it. It's pretty confusing, and you really have to follow exactly what's going on. And you probably have had to have read the first two issues, and it's really kind of just not my thing. So it's difficult to say because I didn't enjoy really reading it. So I wasn't really invested in the characters and the dialogue and all that stuff. So there's a police detective and they're talking to this Japanese guy. I think he has some sort of ties to the Yakuza, and I think maybe he killed Shi's father and brother. I think. I'm not entirely sure. If you're a She fan or you just know She stuff, let me know and let the other viewers know what's going on story wise. So let's actually, I got to backtrack and tell you guys who did this thing. It's mostly William Tucci who did everything. He did he's a publisher, story, pencils, and scripts. So he does everything, but he's got all of these guys helping him doing assists, script, story, assists. So somebody's helping with the story and the scripting and stuff. Figure inks, regular inks, backgrounds. I'm not sure if the backgrounds are drawn by somebody else or Tucci drew the backgrounds and then somebody else inked them. I think it's figure inks 1 through 20, and then so it's just a whole bunch of different assists. There's just a whole bunch of hands in this comic book, and you can kind of tell. So I think there's some cops outside of this meeting place where the Yakuza guy boss is talking to the police and trying to get him to tell him their story and stuff. And they're saying he's going to go to prison for something or whatnot. And then these other guys are just sitting back. I don't think they're not police detectives. I think they're mafia. I think they're mafia. It's then it goes to a corner scene where the mafia is just kind of hanging out and she's watching them, and this little kid comes up to the top of the building and gives She some grief, and she kind of shoos him along and because he says that he's not allowed to be up there anyway. So that's just kind of an aside. And then she whips back her bow and thwap, she kills somebody. I think it's the mafia guy. And as he's driving, I did not know that he was driving. I thought he was parked, but apparently these guys are, no, that makes sense. It's my bad. He's turning. So they are driving. I guess I just didn't understand it. But he's driving and he smashes into a trash can and goes along. And then I don't know who starts shooting. Don't know who this is shooting at these guys. Is it just some guys that come out of the black car? So we've got let's back up. We've got the red car and the blue car. The red car is the one. The blue car has these characters in it. And then I don't know who these guys are. Has these guys. Long hair, Asian guy, somebody in the background. I think they're not Yakuza. I think they're mafia. So then she whips out, there's a green car. Don't know who the green car is. She lets loose the arrow, and it's these guys, which are two different guys. I thought that that was these were the guys in the blue car, but I guess they're in the green car, and the guys in the blue car come out, but these aren't the guys in the blue car. So all right, so here's this guy, long-haired guy. See, this is one of my biggest complaints, I guess, is that you just don't know who all of these characters are. I mean, granted, they're just red shirt characters and they're going to get killed and they're just there for cannon fodder. But if you don't actually know who they are or what group they represent, then you get a little bit confused and lost. And who likes to read a confusing comic book? Basically, nobody. If you like to read a confusing comic book, let me know. So then, like, these are the guys that were in the blue car, I believe. Don't know where the green car smashes into something. It starts to go on fire, even though, okay, it hits the trash can. It's still going towards the mafia guys who got out of the blue car. Don't know why there's the blue car, there's a red car. Should this have been the green car? Should this have been green? Is this the green car that it's supposed to be, and they just mixed up the coloring? That might be some of my confusion. So they let loose with their Uzis and their machine guns and stuff. They blow the car up, and then this guy jumps out of the car. Nope. That's this guy. This guy is this guy. All right. Car explodes. These guys go sprawling everywhere. This guy is gonna kill whoever, and then she shows up, which is a cool double page spread. I don't really know what's happening. She's not really making any kind of movement. She just walks in and has her I can't remember what that's called. I can't remember what it's called. Somebody in there out there remind me what that's called. He pulls his gun on her, but like a samurai, she has some sort of teaching, some sort of backflash, something. I'm not sure. She uses her. I wish I could remember it. It's just a spear, but it's anyway. Uses that, slices the long-haired guy up, and so she's like an old samurai warrior attacking these mafioso bosses, and she's using her ninja skills, her samurai skills, to cut them up, cut his arm off, slice him up, and these guys are, excuse me, these guys are the mafia who are against the Yakuza. Is she part of the Yakuza? I don't think so, but maybe there's a war going on, and that's how her dad and her brother got mixed up in it. I do like the symbolism of all of the samurai kind of coming out of her, and she uses her spirit samurai skills to just kind of move her way around the battlefield with these mafioso guys. It's some nice action. And when I first read it, I kind of glazed over it a little bit, but it is pretty nice action, and I do appreciate it. And so she kind of takes off. Man, I wish these colored cars were what they're supposed to be. Isn't one of these supposed to be green? I guess the cop car comes out of nowhere, and she just kind of runs and takes off. There's an explosion. I don't know why there's an explosion. The car was on fire, I guess, and now there's an explosion, and she kind of just does double backflips and goes into the water. They must be by the docks. Doesn't really ever show that she's by water, but that's okay. She's swimming, and she resurfaces, and she caused all that chaos and stuff. And then it cuts to a pinup, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's nicely drawn. Then it cuts to I'm not sure what this is. I think this is the mafia, but they're also some sort of business, and because she's a lawyer or media consultant or something, and I think he's he's the police. These are the police, and she's the media person, and I don't know who this guy is. And they're just kind of talking about how some of this stuff is going to look on them. Cops escape in deadly firefight. So are they talking about this, or are they talking about previously? I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of dialogue, and I kind of had to slog through it, and I didn't really enjoy it. So I didn't really soak it in the information. That's the thing. If you're going to have all of this dialogue, all of this supposition, all this stuff going on, you have to not supposition. That's the wrong word. You have to keep the reader interested, because if they're not interested, they're just going to lose track of everything. Then it cuts to, I think this is very Frank Miller, Daredevil inspired. She ends up in a church. She is Japanese American, and her father is like a Yakuza boss. I think he was a Yakuza boss, and her mother is a devout Christian. So she has this this kind of conflicting thing going on with her personality. She's devout Christian. But she also does all of these massive, horrible things to avenge her father and brother. I'm not sure about this. Don't understand this, but we'll get back to that when we're talking about the art. So it just kind of has a lot of religious connotations and intonations and bonitations and filitations and sanitations and salutations and all the tations that you could think of. And so it's just kind of, I read this in Elektra Lives. I read this in Daredevil. I read this when Frank Miller did it with Daredevil, and frankly, he did it much better. His writing is gloriously artful. I'm not going to crap on Bill Tucci's writing or the other guy's writing, Peter Gutierrez, because they give it their all. They're trying their hardest, and it's just the fact that maybe it's that I've seen it before. Maybe it's just not put in the right sequences. Maybe it's just the way that they're talking, and she's kind of recollecting things about her past or whatever, and how she is with her religious affiliations and stuff. But I'm just not interested in it. I was super interested in it in Elektra. I was super interested in it in Daredevil. I'm just not interested in it in here. But it is what it is, and she's at the church, and she's doing all of this religious stuff. Then it cuts to her. I think this is her, I'm pretty sure, and she's an art aficionado or collector or something like that. And a detective comes to see her and talk about this arrowhead, which is Japanese, Kyoto, and he says that she's been into Kyoto, and she's like, how do you know that? And he makes up this thing, and doesn't really make sense, because there's lots of people that go to Kyoto. There's lots of people that come back and forth Japan. If this is New York City, you probably get hundreds and hundreds of people going back and forth between Kyoto every single hour. I mean, you don't know, but they just kind of have this flirtatious thing where he's trying to get into her pants and asking her out and stuff. And she's not having it, but then she's kind of like, oh, maybe. So then it cuts to something else. I don't know what this is. It's some sort of crime boss, Yakuza crime boss. Oh, all right. I think he escaped. Nope, he didn't escape, because he's still in handcuffs. He's brought to the Yakuza from the police detention or whatever, prison or whatever, and he's still got his handcuffs, and the Yakuza boss is telling him all kinds of stuff. Don't understand why the Yakuza boss is sweating. At first I thought he was him, but eventually I realized that it's him. Don't understand why he's sweating. But the mafia boss thinks that he's going to ask him for help, and but it's going to cost him. But really, the Yakuza boss is there to kill him, and that is the end of the issue. So number 3, the story, the dialogue is pretty good. The dialogue's okay. I don't really have any problem with the dialogue, other than it's a very, very wordy, and it's very wordy. and there's no nuances. I think for writing, you have to have some nuances. You have to have not just people rattling off information. You have to have some sort of intonations. You have to have some sort of charisma, whether it's good or bad, evil or good or grand or whatever. You have to also know who the characters are, and I didn't know who any of these characters are. Granted, it's issue 3. I didn't read this big wall of text. Maybe it's all in there, but I still wouldn't know who these guys are. And the color changes of the cars, which I don't know if that's them. I don't know who anybody is, and that really bogs down the text and the dialogue and stuff. This is really cute. I like this. The little kid at the top of the building, and she kind of shooing him off. Or first, she has a little bit of a dialogue with him. I don't understand what this means. The kid leaves. Oh, that's supposed to be her brother. I think that's her brother who was killed. I wish that they had shown had some sort of text for that, because I didn't realize that until just now. So I just am a little bit confused by who the characters are, especially the henchmen and stuff. And then to have it broken up by a pinup, the pinup's fine. It's fine and dandy. Don't need a double page splash page for that kind of pinup. Why have it in there? It doesn't further the story, but there really isn't much of a story in this whole book anyway. She's on the top of a building. She's looking down. There's some sort of Yakuza thing going on. There's some mafia guys. She goes and she kills them. You spend most of the book with them killing them. And then you have all this dialogue about the police officers. And then you have her intonations and what am I trying to say? Self-reflection. She's having her self-reflections in her religious thing, and that's totally fine. That's totally cool. It's great in Daredevil, and I'm sure this could have been really great too. And maybe some people really think it's great, but I really just didn't enjoy it. Mostly because I just didn't care about the character at the time. There's no real reason to care about her, good or bad. Is she on a righteous crusade? That's one of the things of the dialogue that's missing. Is she righteous? Is she a really good character exacting revenge? Is this Kill Bill? Is this I can't remember her real name, but is she trying to exact revenge for some horrible thing that happened? Her father and brother were killed. That I found out piecemeal, but it should have said that in the very beginning. Then I would have had some kind of emotional attachment to the character. As for the art, the art is pretty good. I think there's too many hands in it, too many cooks in the pot. It just kind of bogs it down. There's just so much detail, so much going on, and that's fine. But to lose who these characters are, it really sometimes it just doesn't translate very well. She looks really cool. She has lots of really cool poses, and her fight sequences aren't that bad either. They're really good. The action scenes, really nice action scenes. If I knew who these characters were and what they were doing and why they were doing it, then I would say these action sequences were really great. But then you have this great action sequences, and then it's cut in the middle by this imagey, double page spread that didn't really need to be there at all. Especially since, it would have been a lot better if it had been sideways, and her head had been here, and she was holding the spear, and it just this whole layout and thing doesn't work for me. This is really fantastic, the way she uses her samurai lineage and background to kind of correlate to what's going on. I really enjoy that. And this is really nice. This is really great action. This is obviously Good Girl, and I'm a new fan of Good Girl stuff. And she's got a great body and great ass and everything, and it's really got some really good action sequences. It's a little bit too much linear. It's too much left and right, and not enough in your face going forward or backwards. This, I think, would have been a lot better if she'd been racing forward. This is a nice scene right here where she's getting caught up in the explosion, and she's doing her backflip or her jump or whatever, and that's really cool. So the narrative art in the book really isn't bad. I just wish they would have cut out these whole things and put them in the back. That would have been really cool, a lot cooler. And I like how the just the dialogue between these characters, it's colored a little bit differently. I'll get to the coloring. And this stuff is told pretty well. I'm not a big fan of it, but narrative art and artistically it's done pretty well. My biggest probably complaint in this whole book is the coloring. Some of it is good. The skin tones and the stuff like that are really pretty cool. I like them. Sometimes in the skin tones they get lost. There's like not enough real dark shading, which who am I to say, because I have a hard time. This is obviously digital coloring in the infancy of its digital age, and they just go so much for the brightness, using the airbrush and the airbrush tool rather, and the sketching tool or whatever. They have this the highlighting. They just go crazy with the highlighting of the airbrush and the airbrush tool and the blending tool and stuff like that. That it gets all messy. It's really hard to focus on any of the characters. I think I would have enjoyed this a lot more if this was just black and white. Some of it's colored really nicely. I really like this panel here, and I really like she's coloring, but this is the worst of it all. It's just all muddy, and it's yucky, and it's hard to look at, hard to focus on. It's just their whole things. I know that they're trying for a the headlights. They're caught in the headlights, and they're being run over and stuff, and that's cool. But it just didn't work out. It just didn't pan out for me. Just so much of it is that blurry spray paint or blending tool or whatever, and it's just not really great. I like this a lot, this coloring, and that's really cool. So they're experimenting, they're trying new things, they're trying to get better at it, and eventually I'm sure they do, but they just, they lose a lot of what's going on. I kind of feel like by the time they got to these pages, if they did them in order, then they've kind of figured things out, because yes, there's still a lot of spray paint or airbrush technique tools in it, but it's just not very done well or done correctly. I do like this here, the two hands. I enjoy that. This here, they're trying to be Elektra. Lynn Varley, she's a treasure in her coloring, and they're trying to emulate her coloring, and it just goes wrong. It goes badly. They're trying. I don't understand these arrows. Are these supposed to be arrows on the stained glass? Are these arrows that are really shot into the glass? I assume that this is stained glass, but these aren't arrows, because the arrows would have destroyed the window. Who's this supposed to be anyway? It must be a real saint or angel or something, but I guess maybe I just don't know, and that's why I'm confused and I don't like it, because of my confusion. So much of this book I don't really like as much because of the confusion that it brings on me. If I knew who all of these characters were, maybe I would have been more emotionally attached. And if she went on more about her brother and her father and how she was seeking revenge for them, if that's indeed what's going on, then maybe I would have enjoyed it a lot more. Some of the things I really do like, I really love how the panels are connected. You don't need very much narrative art sequences, because you know where you're going from these panels that are actually connected, and that really brings up a cool idea for me. I'm going to have some panels where it's just connected completely. I think that would be really cool. but I like these little wires or webbings, and that's what they kind of feel to me, like they're webbings, like this. There's this whole universe connected by webbing, and that's really an interesting thing. So there's a lot of things that I do like about the book. I like the figures. I like the Bill Tucci. He's a very competent and I dare say very good artist, and I think he gets even better later on as the issues go on and as he gets more more pages under his belt. It's like they said on Cartoonist Kayfabe, Ed Piskor says each artist has 1,000 bad pages in them before they get to their really great stuff, and I 1,000,000% believe that. There's you have to go through those trials and tribulations of art and comics and paneling and everything before you really can show your true colors of what you're capable of and what you're really going to be great at. So yeah, the coloring really destroys this for me, destroys it completely. Art-wise, story-wise, it just kind of goes on and on and on about things that I really don't care about, and I get lost and confused very easily. So anyway, She number 3 by Bill Tucci and a bunch of other people, and this is by Tucci, and this is fantastic. I think if he had just done the whole thing by himself, it probably would have been a lot better. I think I remember one being a lot better art-wise as far as I'm concerned anyway. But he really gives it all, and he loves his character, and you can really tell that. And she is a pretty popular character. I mean, there's reasons that I bought the comics back in the day. She's very you get drawn to her easily because she's a beautiful woman. It's good girl art, and there's a lot to like about her. But she number 3, I'm going to give this a 7. No, I'm going to give this a 6. I probably would have given it a 7 if not for the coloring, but the coloring destroys it for me, these pages here specifically, and I was very confused by the whole thing. I'm not going to go buy more She's. If I see She in the back issues, dollar bins, it's going to be so I can flip them, because people do enjoy She, and you can buy this for $8 or $9, I think, on eBay. I looked it up. The prices vary quite a bit. But I'm not really going to buy any more issues. Like I said, if I do get them, it's going to be to flip them. It's not going to be to keep them, and I don't really love the character anyway. So She number 3, I'm giving a 6. If you guys like this kind of content and you either agree with me or even you just disagree, I love to hear comments from you guys. Whether it's agreement or disagree, because I just love to talk about comic books, and I'm a geek that way. I'm a high lord geek, and so that's what I love to do. So if you guys have just stumbled upon the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and all of that cool stuff, and giving me a thumbs up if you like She or if you like comics. I normally do 80s and 90s indie comics, and so She fits right in here. Usually I do black and whites, but this is pretty cool too, even though I'm not into the color, the coloring of the book rather. So let me know what you guys think. I really love hearing your comments, and thanks for watching, and have a great week, and I will talk to you later, and keep on creating.